No. Oh, save that one for later. I did that one. Wait. Perfect. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goomba here, and welcome to another episode of Culture Shock, a series that digs deep into the cultural and historical origins of video games old and new. And speaking of new, Nintendo's next big IP ARMS released not that long ago. And while many have a rather lukewarm reception to the game, if the 2.5 hour line to play the dang thing at E3 was any indication, I'd say it's worth checking out. But while hundreds have and still are competing to be the best like no one ever was, I've been spending a lot of time digging into the designs and backstories of each character. Granted, it's easy to write off the characters as being one-dimensional. This is just the mummy, this guy's just a ninja, this guy is, Hey, Pat, what is Helix anyway? But don't think that simplicity means laziness. After all, if multiple videos done by the game theorists as a whole has proven anything to me, it's that Nintendo are absolute masters at hiding cultural and historical references in their games. Heck, just look at Mario. From this simplistic series of Italian plumbers jumping on turtles to save a princess, we've deduced that Mario is crazy, Luigi is a multi-millionaire, Bowser is a Chinese celestial deity, and Peach is an all-powerful Shinto goddess. Be sure to check out those videos if you haven't yet. But regardless, my point is that Nintendo games are always more than meet the eye in terms of design and development, and ARMS is absolutely no different. In fact, dare I say, it might do better than most other Nintendo games when it comes to cultural references. Having spent a fair amount of time over on my channel breaking down the cultural origins of Ninjara and his chain motif in a recent episode of my new series Witch Ninja, other fighters have also caught my eye. But the one that's intrigued me the most is the ramen bomber herself, Min Min. Again, it would be really easy to write off Min Min as yet another one-dimensional character. She's just the noodle-themed girl that does some kung fu. And hey, don't get me wrong, I love me some ramen, as do many of my friends. But under those nudes houses a warehouse full of not only ramen culture, but even more culture from its country of origin, China. Now before we get too far into it, let me be very, very clear. I am terrible at Chinese. Lots of people like to think that Japanese and Chinese linguistically are the same language, but oh dear friends, how incorrect that is. Aside from borrowing some kanji here and there, the two languages read very differently, so please forgive my horrible pronunciations as I stumble my way through proper Chinese nouns. We good? Good. So, Min Min. Man, where do we get started with her? Well, I suppose we can begin with the fact that her name is a dirty, dirty lie. See, in English we call her Min Min, but in the game's original Japanese version, her name is this, which reads as Main Main, not Min Min. I know this may be a very obvious reference, but for anyone who doesn't get it, main in Chinese is noodle, which shouldn't be any surprise when you consider that the Japanese word ramen actually stems from the Chinese word ramyeon, meaning pole noodles, which you'll oftentimes hear Min Min chanting during a victory. But this word extends far, far more into Min Min's character than a simple chant. This one Chinese character is in fact the very facet of Min Min's design. It's on the gong on her stage, as well as a few other places. It's vibrantly displayed on her chest, and overall the character itself has become synonymous with her character acting as her general logo. I guess too, I can't neglect the fact that you can also find this Chinese character on the bottom of her shoe as well. But you know, to something else? That green dragon. Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. One of Min Min's special traits is the ability to turn her left arm into a green dragon after she fully charges her arms. In dragon form, the weapon attached to the arm will stay supercharged until Min Min is actually knocked down. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Gaijin, it's just a freaking dragon. China, heck, East Asia in general has a ton of those. And yes, you're not wrong. But what you have to understand is that Min Min's dragon simply isn't a dragon. It's the dragon. Let me explain. Within China's ancient constellations reside 5 celestial beasts. The yellow dragon of the center, Huanglong, the white tiger of the west, Jinbing, the vermilion bird of the south, Lingguang, the black turtle of the north, Zhuming, and finally the azure dragon of the east, Mengzhang. Each of the 5 have their own unique properties under the agents of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, alongside their colors, directions, and seasons which they represent. But long story short, what makes the azure dragon so special is that it became the national symbol of the Qing dynasty and was integrated into many other tribe totems as China began advancing into a mighty civilization. Now, when I say azure dragon, I need to clarify something. In Chinese, the word for the color is qing, which is a merging of the concepts of both green and blue. Long story short, it's actually really hard to identify the color specifically as it can lean between either green or blue. Therefore, I think it's pretty safe to say that the green dragon that makes up so much of Min Min's design is a clear inspiration from Mengjiang. But there's another big inspiration from Min Min's design that isn't nearly as blatant. It's actually very subtle. In fact, for those of you who love yourself some ramen, there's been a massive cultural reference literally hidden underneath your nose that Min Min shares. This. 2 square spiral patterns either seen individually or lining the lip of your atypical ramen bowl. Not only does the giant ramen bowl in Min Min's stage of Nintendo have the same patterns repeated between Chinese characters, you can also see this pattern on the rim of Min Min's hat, which obviously parodies traditional ramen bowls. So what does it all mean? Well, according to my research, which granted was fairly limited, when you're eating ramen, you're apparently doing the will of the gods. See, back between 1500 and 1000 BCE during the Yin era, this same symbol was found in various bronzeware and was believed to be a symbol of a thunderstorm. Yep, those 2 spirals represent angry clouds ever moving and ever forming. Now, unlike the West where we associate thunderstorms with dreary days and terrifyingly loud noises, in the East, the crashing of thunder and lightning were thought to be actions of gods in heaven. Therefore, these patterns of thunderclouds represent not only the will of heaven, but the protection of it from evil. So don't be afraid to order seconds, guys, because you're actually doing the will of the divine. Now, one last thing I wanted to make mention was another swirly design often found in ramen. Though, to be fair, this inspiration comes not quite from China, but Japan. If you look really close on Min Min's shoulders, yep, right there. Those little spirals look familiar? Well, if you're any fan of ramen, they should. These little fish cakes are what's known as Naruto Maki, or Naruto for short.
Believe it!
Ugh, not that Naruto. This one. Yep, believe it or not, those little white and red spiraled fish cakes are actually named after a very well-known strait in Japan known as the Naruto Strait, or Naruto Kaikyo. Acting as the only land connection between the islands of Shikoku and Awaji, what makes this strait so popular in Japan are the numerous whirlpools that have formed underneath what is now the old Naruto Bridge. Strong currents clashing together from the Seto Inland Sea and the Pacific Ocean create insanely deep whirlpools, as big as 66 feet, moving as fast as 12 miles per hour. Needless to say, this phenomena of whirlpools does tend to draw a tourism crowd and has had great popularity in Japan for generations, as depicted in paintings such as this one done by ukiyo-e artist Utagawa Hiroshige. Who knew such a small detail held so much symbolism? And that's what I love about ARMS and Nintendo in general. The game itself is simple, easy mechanics that anyone can pick up and learn, but the designs and inspirations are anything but simple. Every time I've dived into a Nintendo game, I've always found a plethora of amazing cultural inspirations, and as more games come down the pipeline in 2017, I know I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. But thanks for watching, everyone! Like I mentioned earlier, if you're wanting even more cultural analysis of ARMS, head on over to my channel to learn about the historical origins of another popular character, Ninjara. But if you're looking for more MatPat, be sure to click those annotations on screen and links in the description for even more game theory. But until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goomba, signing out.